The basement was too warm. The music, a loud, pulsing lie. Sarah was laughing, her hips moving against mine with mechanical politeness. We were dancing, or pretending to, at her friend's crowded, meaningless party. I moved closer, a reflexive husbandly gesture, and leaned down, aiming for the curve of her neck. A small intimacy, public camouflage. She stiffened. Her eyes, usually dark and shielded, flashed something cold and deeply dismissive. She pulled back slightly. Then the words, delivered with surgical, public intent. "I'd rather kiss my dog than kiss you." The music swallowed the sound, but the silence from the surrounding faces did not. A collective, ugly pause. Then the laughter. High, brittle, validating laughter from her friends. It was a chorus I was meant to suffer. I felt the familiar, cold knot in my stomach tighten. Not from pain, but from the sudden, clinical clarity. This is it. The breaking point wasn't the rejection, it was the exposure. She chose to humiliate me, publicly, strategically. My hands, still resting on her waist, remained perfectly still. I looked at her. Her face was flushed with cheap triumph. She was testing the limits, pushing me into a corner she thought I was too weak to fight my way out of. This deliberate cruelty was the final evidence, the last undeniable piece of the puzzle I'd been quietly assembling for months. The scent of a foreign cologne on her scarf, the unexplained $500 cash withdrawal, the way she had begun to talk about me to her friends, not as a partner, but as a dull, necessary fixture, a source of income to be tolerated. The betrayal wasn't just physical distance, it was emotional contempt, a deep-seated rejection she'd been cultivating. The real conflict began the night I found the second phone, hidden in a boot in the back of her closet. Cheap, untraceable. I didn't unlock it then. I simply held it, the cold plastic a physical manifestation of her double life, before placing it back exactly where I found it. I had learned early in life, never confront suspicion, confirm it. My investigation was silent. I was calm externally, meticulous within. I installed a tiny listening device beneath her car's dashboard. I used my cybersecurity background to mirror the data from the hidden phone without ever touching the screen again. The messages poured in, text transcripts, GPS coordinates, late-night video calls. All of it pointing to Mark, the manager at her gym. The affair itself was predictable. The major reveal, however, was not. The communication wasn't merely flirtatious, it was financial. They were planning to leverage my upcoming business sale, a massive liquidity event I had been working on for years, to fund Mark's fitness chain expansion. The affair was the distraction. The theft of my entire future was the strategy. She was a manipulator, not just a cheater. The final piece of evidence arrived, a voice note from Mark, detailing how they would use her newly established, separate, joint bank account to siphon off funds after the sale closed. It was premeditated financial destruction. I stood there, my composure a perfect mask. The laughter around us was fading, replaced by confused, expectant silence. Sarah's smile was wavering now, seeing the icy emptiness in my eyes. She expected a scene. I gave her surgical precision. I took a slow, deliberate breath. I leaned in, closer than before, so my voice was low yet clear enough to carry over the residual hum of the stereo. "That's a shame, Sarah," I replied, my voice flat, devoid of heat. I let my eyes drift briefly to her friend Chloe, who was now staring in horror. Because when I submit the wire transfer instructions on Monday morning, the dog won't be listed as a cosigner on the $4.2 million settlement. Her face collapsed. The theatrical triumph vaporized into naked, visceral terror. The money. I knew. Her entire plan was predicated on my ignorance. I had already diverted the funds to a blind trust hours before the party, a move she hadn't anticipated. I walked away. The silence of the room was thick and absolute. My final move was executed, not in anger, but in detachment. They were shattered, their calculated greed exposed and rendered impotent. I stepped out into the cold night air. The marriage was dead, but my control was absolute. I looked at the stars, feeling the immense, desolate clarity of a man who had burned his own past to survive. The betrayal was complete. The consequence was final.